yeah, here we go.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio
This is Bump and Stacy.
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
A ton of questions surrounding the Seahawks right now. DK Metcalf's trade request, one of the biggest stories in the NFL. We're wondering who trade partners could be, Bump, when the trade could happen. If the trade could possibly happen after 10 a.m. Pacific on a weekday.
That'd be nice.
Is what I'm wondering. What the offense looks like without DK. What it looks like if he stays. So let's start first by trying to answer a few of those questions with some things we learned from yesterday's John Schneider show on Wyman and Bob. First, from John Schneider, he just confirmed DK's request and kind of talked about what that process could look like.
I think it's in a very cordial, professional place. DK has requested a trade. We are entertaining that. We are talking to a ton of teams, taking offers, seeing what that looks like. Yeah, here we go. I mean, you always have to do the thing to understand here is that, our responsibility to, Jody Allen, the 12s, first and foremost is doing what's absolutely best for the organization.
I thought that was interesting.
You have to do what's best for the organization at this point. So what does that look like? What's best for the organization could mean we get a second-round pick and maybe a body, and we feel good about it. What's best for the organization could also be DK ain't going nowhere because we couldn't figure nothing out, right? We're not going to put ourselves in a bad position just to appease DK. But I think that that's their goal, though, because like I mentioned before, you don't want someone in a relationship who doesn't necessarily want to be there. Why doesn't DK want to be here? It probably comes down to money. And then he's looking at some pieces that are here and aren't here and saying, maybe I can go somewhere else. But no, it's John Schneider's job to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks. At the end of the day, it might be that DK comes back. But I think that they're trying their best to move him and get something out of it.
Speaking of the possibility that DK does stay in Seattle, John did talk about that.
No, I think DK's a very good communicator. He's a guy that understands the business. He's a businessman himself. So, I think he understands that we're going to head down this road. He understands that we're going to do what's best for the organization, and that if things don't fall, the way, he may want, that he's there's a good chance he could end up being here. And so, and at that point, we all turn the corner and move forward. So, that's the way it works. He's through this whole process, he's been extremely professional and respectful.
I thought it was interesting during part of this interview. Am I imagining this, or didn't John say called that scenario worst case scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah, meaning, right, that worst case, DK's back here. What do you think he means by that?
Worst case, so that means DK is not getting what he wants out of this deal, which is probably more money and to be with a contender, and that the Hawks weren't able to move a piece that has expressed that he doesn't want to be here. The thing that I like about that cut is that, or the cuts you've played so far, is that it sounds like it's been respectful. There hasn't been hooting and hollering and yelling and all that stuff. And even if there was some of that going on, he ain't going to tell us anyway. But it sounds like there's been a cordial type of conversation going on here, and both sides realize that it's just business. But worst case scenario is DK is back because he doesn't want to be here, and the Hawks are going to try their best to get something out of DK. It's messed up that it's framed that way, because I look at DK and what he has left in the tank and what I think he can do for this offense and think Kubiak's going to use him. He's going to be that backside post guy. He's going to have these one-on-one opportunities. I'm excited about it. So I wish that I could speak to DK and he could tell me off the record exactly everything that's going on. But he's not happy. He's not happy with the money, and you would think that there are other things that have been done and haven't been done here in the organization that makes him want to go out there and explore other possibilities.
I wonder what it does look like if he does come back. If they cannot get a trade, if the best they can get is a third-round pick, and there's a report they're asking for a first and a third. If the best they can get is a third or maybe a fourth, and John goes, that's not good enough for me. I feel like I'm losing this trade. Sorry, DK, but I'm nixing it. You're under contract. I'm calling the shot here. I'm so sorry, but our interests do not align. I wonder what the second half of that looks like. Does that mean DK accepting an extension? Does it mean him holding out? What do you think?
I think DK will play out this last year because you want to get paid. You don't want to leave, $18 million on the table, and then more than that if you add up incentive and signing bonus and all that good stuff. I think he plays because he realizes that him sitting out is not going to help his value. Him sitting out is going to look to other organizations like he's a me person. Let's not get it twisted. You have to be a me person during contract negotiations. I know people on the text lines and listeners want DK to be all about the team, and it's about the green and the blue. And yeah, it is when he's playing football. But during the offseason, when you are trying to set up your future and you're trying to be financially secure in a different way, I know he probably is already. He's made a lot of money. You have to be selfish and think about what's best for you. This week has been crazy, man. Lockett's out of here.
Man.
We're talking DK. Rumors about Geno. It says we're looking at this team a bit differently than we were just a few days ago.
You know what's so weird, too? If you were to tell me, like, January 1st, and we knew that collectively these three cap hits would account for, like, $95 million. Like, if nothing was done, these three players, Tyler, DK, Geno, would have accounted for $95 million against the cap. If I was like, okay, one of them is gone, and one might be here and the other will be here, you'd be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But now that it's actually happening, maybe because the news of Tyler Lockett and DK was on the same day, it feels like, what if it's a rebuild? What if they're tearing down? What does it now mean for Geno in the offense if DK isn't here? And it's just funny thinking of the hypothetical and understanding what it might look like. And then once you experience, okay, now this player's requesting a trade. Now this player's gone. Wow, I wasn't looking at the weapons here before.
It looks different.
It does.
I think we could handle Lockett not being here.
Sure.
Feeling like Geno's going to get that extension, DK as well, and looking at the offensive line and saying, okay, well, we gotta do something there. Looking at the tight end position and saying you probably need to get another piece there. But now looking at this situation, and like you described it, it happened so quickly. You're looking at Lockett, you're looking at DK, you're wondering about Geno, you're looking at the offensive line, and I wouldn't call it like a rebuild, but you're restructuring some things, right? I bought my house 5 years ago or whatnot, and it was like 18 years old. A good house, but after 18 years, there's some things that you got to fix, you know? And I think that's the way I'm looking at the Seahawks right now. The defense looks good, right? The backyard is great. It looks good. But now you're looking at the offense. And if you don't have a DK, if you don't have Lockett, if that deal doesn't work out, you feel like there's a lot more work to do than initially, right? When you did your walkthrough of the home, you're saying, okay, we can fix that and fix this. And then you live in it for a couple of years and you realize that there are some things that the last owner just kind of patched up real quick to make this thing sellable. That's the way I'm looking at it, because now you wanted the running game to be in the forefront of this whole thing.
Sure.
And I think that's going to happen regardless. But if you run the football, you must be able to pass the football. We're talking about last year. You pass football, you got to be able to run the football. It goes hand in hand. We can't just look at this team and say, all right, well, we still got our running backs. Yeah, but you need an offensive line, and you need some weapons on the outside. Jason by himself isn't going to be enough. So I think it changes the possibilities of this whole situation.
I agree.
I'm hoping Geno gets done. I'm hoping DK stays. But look, this is the reality of the business, and it happens so quickly during the offseason, especially when free agency hits.
This is where things get especially interesting. If the Seahawks move DK, does this year look at all like a rebuild, or do you just move forward, hey, we're going to contend for the NFC West? Because I know that